Ha! Can you imagine that? 250,000 Cybertruck reservations. Wow. Well, welcome back to the channel. You know, if you guys have been paying attention, there are literally hundreds of videos out on the internet about the Cybertruck. Now, I wanted to wait a little while before I gave you my thoughts on the Cybertruck because I think this product is one of those items that needs a little time to kind of dig into our psyche so we get the full picture. And it's literally been 9 days since I went to the reveal event. When I showed up at the reveal event, because of my travel difficulties, I missed about the first 2 or 3 minutes of the reveal event. So the truck was literally on the stage when I arrived. And my first thought was like, okay, wasn't 100% prepared for a stealth fighter, but I had a pretty good feeling that this was going to be very similar to what Elon was talking about for some time, making it look like a bit of an armored personnel carrier, and that's certainly what the front of the truck has. Now, the rear of the truck threw me off a little bit because I was pretty much thinking along the same lines, armored personnel carrier, that it would have, you know, completely, you know, like a truck, not a pickup truck typical bed, but more like a Suburban or a big SUV with the doors open. And I knew it was going to be covered, but not like this. We'll talk about the design here a little bit, but I want to talk about the specs a little bit and also what this truck actually represents in the market. So as far as the specs are concerned, I mean, I think everybody pretty much agrees that Tesla nailed it. They got the pricing right. I mean, who'd have thought that they would bring out a truck at a base price of $39,900? It's right in the market. I mean, we're talking about the price of a car that's really a standard range Model 3. It's truly incredible. And I think what happens here is that it's really speaking to Tesla's ability to get the battery pricing down. I mean, we're talking about a car that's going to be out in a couple of years here. So there are some other things that are going to be happening here. Namely, I think the battery investor day that's supposed to be coming early in 2020, where they will kind of lay out what their plans are. So I think it kind of ties in for that. Now, until that happens, we'll have more information about that a little bit later on. But the Cybertruck obviously is also going to be leveraging a bunch of Model 3 technologies that they developed. Obviously, if you saw the interior of the car, it very much has the Model 3 treatment. Of course, it has a 17-inch landscape screen instead of the typical 15. But, you know, the HVAC system is there. I mean, they nailed it as far as I'm concerned. Acceleration, of course, electric vehicles have good acceleration, but that's not why you buy a pickup truck typically. But the towing capacity, up to 14,000 pounds, is certainly right in there with the market. It's competitive with the other vehicles that are on the market. The bed capacity of 3,500 pounds, it's bang on. There are some other details about the Cybertruck that I've been paying attention to. So there's a few things, namely the rear cover on the back is actually a brilliant move on their part to make it kind of like a bread box where it's slatted and actually rolls up inside the car. This, I mean, yes, you can buy what are called tonneau covers for regular pickup trucks. And I know a lot of people have been saying, well, what's going to happen in the winter months? Well, you take a brush to it. It's not the end of the world here. But the fact that it's actually integrated into the vehicle is actually brilliant. That will also help with aerodynamics. There's a purpose behind that. Again, we'll talk about the design a little bit later on. There are a few other things that they've built in. There's side rails built into the bed of the truck where you can put in like, they're industry standard, by the way. You can put little clips and stuff and just turn them in. And as far as I can tell, the actual bed of the truck, the bottom, the floor, has what look like tracks. I mean, I don't know of any other pickup on the market that has that standard where you can attach little things and stuff. And it has things like different attachment or tie-down points inside the bed. So anyways, from that aspect, I think they got it just right. Obviously, yes, the pricing is perfect. The specs on the vehicle are I mean, and nobody expected to have a vehicle like this. And I think, again, it really spells that Tesla really has their production costs in check. They're leveraging what they can. I mean, the fact that they have over 250,000 reservations, now that's as of 3 days ago. Here we are 9 days in, and I'm sure it's beyond that. Elon seems to have stopped tweeting about it, but I think just based on those numbers, I think Tesla really does have a bona fide hit on their hands. Now, how much of that is psychological? Because the fact is, you only put $100 down payment on this thing or reservation deposit. But I think psychologically, it really represents the fact that, well, one of two things. One is that Tesla's on good financial ground where they don't need to have these reservations in the coffers. Again, they can't count reservation deposits into profits. That's just not allowed. That's usually put into an escrow account or whatever. The other part of that is like how much of that is psychological in the fact, well, it's only $100, I'll put a reservation, and how much of that is actually going to convert to cars. I think that's irrespective. I think, like I said, once the vehicle actually shows up on the roads and people actually see it in person, and I was very fortunate to be at the reveal event. I had a chance to check out the car and touch it. The car is much more imposing in person, so I think once you actually see it, it's like the early days of the Model 3, where people were not too sure about the nose and they weren't too sure about the interior. And, you know, by the time the car came around to production, people actually got to touch it and feel it. They were sold on it. And I think this truck is very much the same. Yes, the design is very polarizing. I get that. But it's just like anything else. It's a shock value. I mean, the designers have been working with this truck for the last, probably year and a half in terms of design. So for them, it's very normal, but for the average person, it's shocking. But again, it's a familiarity thing. Once you get used to the new look, yeah, I think it'll just work out just fine. When I first saw it on stage, again, I was taken aback a little bit. I wasn't expecting, like I said, the stealth fighter look. The biggest part that I had a problem with the truck was really the rear tailgate being on that rearward angle and being so flat. I wasn't 100% sold on that. And now that I've had, you know, a week and a bit to actually have it sink in, I think I'm coming around to the actual look of it. But again, I think it's probably, well, you know, let's talk about the design, since that's the part everybody wants to talk about. And I'm sorry for jumping around here. I'm just trying to get my mind around this a little bit. But you have to understand, I think the point of the design of the Cybertruck is that it's an extension of first principles engineering. It's literally a side effect of how they actually wanted to design the vehicle for toughness, robustness. The fact that they actually move the structure that would normally be inside of a body to the outside, so the skin of the truck is actually going to be structural, dictates that the way that they have to build it, they can't stamp these parts. I think they're going to just bring in large sheets of stainless steel and they're going to score it and bend it, and that's essentially going to be the way that they going to build this truck. It's not to say that they won't have stamped parts. There will be stamped parts. I mean, door jambs, the floor of the truck, you know, parts for mounting seating in the dash and that kind of stuff. Those have to be stamped parts, but the actual structural part of the truck itself will be this 3mm cold rolled stainless steel. So I think it's a brilliant move on their part. If you look at other vehicles on the market, I mean, they all talk about being tough, but you know, I'm sorry, but Tesla has just wiped the floor in terms of toughness in the pickup truck market with a Cybertruck. I mean, nobody else is doing stainless steel. I mean, the fact that you don't have to paint it means that production costs are lower. You're going to be bending these pieces of metal rather than stamping. Stamping presses, stamping dies cost a lot of money. Bending is a little simpler. The fact that it'll never rust is awesome. I mean, it's so thick that you can bang it around. I mean, contractors are just gonna love this thing as far as toughness is concerned. Now, again, the looks, I understand, is polarizing, but it's just like anything else. After a little time, you'll kind of get used to it. I'm totally used to it now. It's kind of normal. It doesn't bother me in the least, but I think the vehicle in a lot of ways is actually a brilliant design on their part. And Tesla is not going to be branding this vehicle. They're not going to be putting any badging on this car, not even a Tesla T, no Cybertruck, nothing. So I think that is a brilliant move on the marketing part of their decision not to do that, because let's face it, every pickup truck on the market essentially looks the same. Doesn't matter what brand you buy, they're essentially the same vehicle. When you see this vehicle on the market, you're going to be asking, what the heck is this thing? The people that are going to be buying this, let's say for businesses, for contracting or landscaping businesses, I mean, the market's open for this. I think it's really going to be a really great opportunity for people to get out there and ask, what is this vehicle and stuff. So I think from that aspect, it's a brilliant marketing move on their part. As far as the reservation count is concerned, I think it's still early days, but here we are 9 days in, and we know that they have over 250,000 reservations. So there is a chance, a small chance, that they may exceed the reservation count from what they did on the Model 3, literally 3 years ago. Again, you have to remember, what Tesla shows is not a concept. It is a production intent prototype, and they've always promised that what they put into production will always be better than the prototype. So what we know now in terms of facts and features is going to certainly improve once the vehicle comes out. Now, I know a lot of people have been asking, what about the mirror situation? What about the airbags? Because there's two things that are missing on this truck, or a little different. One, it doesn't have mirrors. Now, This is the second vehicle, well, maybe third if you count the semi-truck, where Tesla has actually shown a production intent prototype where it doesn't have mirrors. The other one I'm thinking about here is the Roadster. Now, keep in mind, these vehicles are 2 years out in the future. And Tesla and other manufacturers have been lobbying the US government for years now to try and allow them to get rid of mirrors on their cars. So since the fact that this vehicle is 2 years out, maybe they know something we don't. Maybe there's some legislation that they feel confident in that they won't have to deliver the mirrors. I find it unusual that they would do it like this, but it is Tesla, so who knows? I mean, the Model Y, for example, when it was shown back in March of this year, it had mirrors on it. But again, that vehicle is literally going into production, well, pretty much any month now. So again, maybe they know something we don't. Now, the other one is the Yoke steering wheel. Now, again, this is the second vehicle that Tesla's put out, again, the Roadster I'm referring to, where they put this crazy airplane yoke. Now, I don't know legally whether Tesla can actually put that into a production car. I'm not an expert on that kind of thing. But I think it really shows that if they could, this is something that they would like to do. This yoke is different from the one that was in the Model Y because it has the Model 3 scroll wheels on it. And it also led to some of the comments that I've seen on the internet, where's the airbag going to go? Well, the airbag's going to go in the steering wheel. Where else is it going to go? Anyways, but that's beside the point. The fact that the interior volume of this is very much like a Model X in terms of 6 seating. I used to own a Model X that was the 6-seat variant. It's absolutely the best variant in terms of comfort for people, not the best for cargo carrying. So my personal opinion here with the Model X situation is that especially with comments that Elon has made recently where they feel that they will continue to making the Model X for sentimental reasons, leads me to believe that I think sales eventually for the Model X will drift off to the point of being, well, do we keep making this thing or not? Because the Cybertruck really gives you the interior space that you need for the Model X, especially in my opinion, compared to the cargo capacity of the vehicle. So for me, if I had a choice between right now buying a Cybertruck or a Model X, I would pick the Cybertruck. It's just much more versatile, that has the more interior space on the car and the creature comforts. Plus the tech is going to be better because it's going to have the Model 3 treatment on the inside as far as the interior is concerned on this new truck. So I think you can read the tea leaves if they are going to do, and I think it's a matter of when, not if, an interior refresh on the S and the X. Well, look at the Cybertruck. You pretty much have the interior of a Model X going on there. Now, some of you might be asking, did I order a Cybertruck? And I don't know if I got caught up in the moment or it was a deliberate thing, but yes, I did order one while I was standing in line for a ride in the Cybertruck. By the way, I didn't get a ride in the Cybertruck because of the complications with them breaking the windows that you saw online. It delayed some of the rides and they shut down the whole thing at 1 a.m. So literally I was about 30 people behind. I didn't get a chance, but I'm not too upset about it. From all the pictures that I've seen in the video I've seen, it's pretty much a Model 3 type interior put into a Model X, so I already know what that's like. So I'm not upset about that fact. Yes, I did place an order for the car. Just so you understand, my wife has been asking about the possibility of us getting a motorhome for when we retire. The problem with a motorhome, as far as I'm concerned, is that you're always dragging around your house. So if you want to go into town to get dinner or something like that, you're not exactly 100% mobile. So I thought that the Cybertruck would be a better alternative for us. So we could drag a regular camper and still have an electric vehicle to be able to get us around. So that was kind of my thinking. So yes, I did place an order for it. Whether it actually transfers into an actual order for the vehicle, I don't know. But part of me really wants one because I think it would make some awesome videos for you guys. So anyways, we'll see what transpires. I think the pricing is right, so I might be able to snag onto that. But anyways, those are my thoughts on the Cybertruck, and I want to hear from you guys. So put some comments down below telling me what you think about the Cybertruck and whether you would want to order one or what the market reaction will be. But I'm curious to see what you guys have to say. Anyways, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. See ya.